Welcome to Western Perspective. I'm Madeline Lombardi. The West Australian housing and renting crisis has intensified, with major home builders facing extensive delays due to a shortage of skilled workers and skyrocketing costs. The government has been blamed for its inability to act in a hurry about the lack of creating more social housing blocks for those who particularly need it most. Premier Mark McGowan responds later and says his government is already preparing the necessary needs to do so.
There's some issues around medium and high density. There's some issues around medium and high density housing in Perth. Absolutely, we need more housing, but historically Perth is a very spread out city, and that's not going to change in a hurry. We have to deal with what we have in front of us. And the important thing is that the McGowan government needs to take the locals along with them. You cannot impose solutions from above. That will just upset everybody involved. Absolutely, we need more density in our housing, but it has to be done sensibly, and you have to take the locals with you. We have a $10 billion Metronet system to evidently revolutionise the transport of people in this city. Housing has to be done around that network, quite clearly. Not just expensive apartments in the western suburbs. We have to take a whole of city approach to fixing this housing solution. There are land supply issues, there are worker shortage issues, there are building supply issues, and it has to be done as a holistic approach.
What about public housing blocks?
There has been some movement on public housing, but sadly we have less public housing in this state than we have 4 years ago. Now that's extraordinary when you consider we have a state government with multi-billion-dollar surpluses for a number of years now. So they haven't moved the dial at all on the number of social housing buildings in this state, and that's not acceptable.
Should we have public housing blocks? I suppose, you know, the medium density public housing blocks again, major mass public housing project. Is that what it comes down? Should it be happening now?
No, I don't think it is. I think the important thing around housing is a mix of housing. If you put a large percentage of social housing in one area, that's always failed. We need a mix of density. We need a mix of housing use, affordable, more expensive. So it's the diversity of housing that is the important thing.
But if you don't do mass housing blocks and quickly, the list is not going to shorten anytime soon. And imagine 30,000 houses, 30,000 people on a waiting list. How big does the suburb have to be to house the whole thing? I mean, how is it going to be done quickly and possible?
It's not going to be done quickly, and that's the very sad news for West Australians. Whether they're multi-storey social housing blocks or whether they're single level, the government doesn't have the ability to do this in a hurry. So the very sad news is for people on those waiting lists, this is not going to be fixed in a hurry.
That's what we're doing now. So we've got a $2.2 billion program of social housing. We've got different ways of building it. We're using modular construction, timber frames, all sorts of ways of trying to get it out more quickly. We're doing spot purchasing of social housing. We're doing specific programs for rough sleepers to get them into housing. We've bought the Murray Street, I think it's called the Murray Street Lodge. We've got the homeless shelter in the city, Bulla Biddy Mire, I think it's called, which is at 90% capacity, basically at full capacity. We've got the common ground facilities that we will be building, but they take time because the building industry is so strong. So Western Australia, I mean, as I said to you, if you took a drone's view of the city or a helicopter view of the city, the number of cranes out there, which is the amount of activity that's going on, is virtually unprecedented. And then you go out to the mining sector and the resources sector, it's unprecedented. So the work is incredibly strong at the moment, and that is obviously meaning it takes longer to get a home built. I think it was in 2019, I think it was around 10,000 or so starts, and then we went to 30,000 starts. So the more starts you have, obviously takes a bit longer, but then the more houses you get. So we need more houses, and that's why we're building more.
That was the opposition's housing spokesman Steve Martin and Premier Mark McGowan. You can read that and other premium news stories by subscribing to the WAM and Extra News Club, supporting independent local news and keeping democracy strong. You can join us by clicking on the link in the description below. And now here's Leo Puglisi with what's coming up on 6 News Tonight.
Thanks, guys. On 6 News, Anthony Albanese joins New South Wales Labor leader Chris Minns to officially launch the party's state election campaign. Police shoot dead an armed man in Sydney's southwest. And the race for Aston heats up as more candidates are announced for the upcoming by-election. Watch live on our YouTube channel and our website, 6newsau.com. For now, though, it is back to you.
Thanks, Leo. And before we go, a brief weather update. Perth is heading into cooler temperatures with some change to the usual sunny spells WA is normally used to. 29 degrees on Monday, 33 on Tuesday and Wednesday with a shower or two. 28 degrees on Thursday and 30 degrees on Friday. Overnight temperatures will hover between 15 to 20 degrees. And that's all from Western Perspective this week. We'll be back with you next Sunday. Until then, Ivan and Melly, it's back to you.
Thanks, Maddie. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Ellie and myself, we wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.